Get out of my head! I already told you! I will not be distracted from this anymore!
They think that maybe being a lesbian or a gay, you have a bad spirit. It's not like that. This thing deals with feelings. It's the way you feel. And each and every person have a right to feel whatever.
And I'm going to be respectful to you, okay? I didn't pick this up to talk about the fact that homosexuality was a mental illness in this book until 1974. But since you brought it up, I'll start with that. If you read the American Psychiatric Association position paper on the removal of homosexuality from this book as a mental illness, and I have it, it's available online, it clearly says that we did not change this classification because we had sufficient evidence to prove that people were born this way. So one of the questions that got to be dealt with from the Eurocentric mental health framework that we're dealing with this issue in, why was it removed? Now, having said that, I picked up the book to ask you on what page is the mental illness homophobia?
It's not a mental illness, it's a disease just like racism is a disease.
Who defined homophobia as a disease? This is the authority of mental illness. Where is the diagnosis homophobia?
It's not a diagnosis, it's a state
No, a phobia.
of being. It's a state
No,
of being.
phobia.
It's
A
a state
phobia. A phobia is in this book.
Okay, so hate speech
And a
against gay
phobia,
people.
let me,
Okay.
phobia is fear. Simple phobia, any type of claustrophobia, it's a fear. You said homophobia. I'm not afraid of nobody. I've been asked by homosexuals and lesbians to have conversations with them on their radio shows. I normally accept the invitation for respectful dialogue. I don't run from the opportunity if it's going to be respectful. Now, I stand by my position as a psychologist, as an educator, as a therapist for normally 20 years, and in 95% of the cases of gay and lesbians I personally know and met and worked with, most of them were victims of sexual abuse as children. I'm speaking not what some white person wrote in some research study. I'm telling you what I know. Amongst black folk, it is a pathology born of childhood sexual victimization. Denial is at the root of all mental illness. It's easy to say, I was born like this, so I don't have to deal with the pain that triggered it. Now, I never said that because you are gay, you want to prey on children sexually. Now, do you have a strong case of homosexuals and lesbians who prey on children? Look at the Roman Catholic Church. We don't have to debate whether or not folks who are sexually confused, who may also prefer children. But am I going to wholesale indict the whole population and say because you're gay you want to molest children? I've never said that. I've never said that, and I never will say that. I'm very responsible with my words. Now, you drew a comparison that I'm going to disagree with. You said, how is me disagreeing with homosexuality, how is that any different from the white man saying black folks was dumb and stupid and this and that? You know what the difference is? That was lies about us. That could be proven. You're wrong. I don't denigrate or downgrade black gays and lesbians. Why would I do that? Do you realize black gay men have one of the highest suicide rates in America?
Because of speech like what you
No.
community.
If what you say is true.
And silence is
Listen,
why
you're
people
being
don't
emotional,
come
my
out.
queen.
What about before he was even born? What about before he was even born?
Thank you, sir. Thank
Well,
you.
okay, what about 100 years ago, 200 years ago?
What about it?
There's no argument.
I'm asking you, I mean, but you said him.
Exactly.
So what about what was going on before he was born?
He inherited it and he decided to continue the
How?
conversation.
Stay with me, stay with me, stay with me. It is a political fact for anyone with common sense. It is a political fact for anyone with common sense. Dr. King was assassinated in 1968. Black Panther Party was destabilized in 1972. Homosexuality became normal in 1974. It is a political fact that homosexuality was declassified as an illness so it could be used to take over the black civil rights struggle. The LGBT movement is a movement for the right to practice a certain behavior. The black struggle, the struggle for black folk is a struggle to be treated like a human being.
I love Toba so much. I'm very excited. I'm glad that I'm married to Toba now. We are both Mr. TC Stole Modisa, and it's very exciting. We're making history. You know, I think, as I've mentioned before, it is against this idea that being gay is an African. Being gay is as African as being black. So we're part of our culture. Toba Zulu and I'm Tswana, and we are rooted in our culture, and we're very excited about it.
Generally, naturally, no human being loves the same sex. I'm talking about the love which is required in husband and wife.
I'm glad she asked this question.
This is really important because, yes, you can definitely get an STD from anal sex. Pretty much all of them. HPV, herpes, HIV, chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis.
Anything you can get vaginally,
pretty much anything you can get.
And actually, it's a higher risk of transmission.
It's actually easier.
Yes, to get an
Hepatitis B
STD.
even.
Yep, and the reason that you can get transmission easier than vaginal penetration is because the lining in the rectum is much thinner and it can tear easier. There's a lot more blood flow around the rectum, so there's a higher transmission of any STDs that you can get vaginally, you can get rectally, and it's easier to transmit because tears can happen and that, you know, the tissue.
Direct entry into your bloodstream. So
We know the connection to HPV and cervical cancer. We now know that it's linked to anal cancer as well.
A global emergency declaration for monkeypox today puts this disease in the same category as COVID-19 and polio.
It is the latest virus spreading across the United States, and the exploding case count has doctors expressing serious concerns.
In New York City, vaccine eligibility is limited. Only men who have sex with men or anyone with multiple or anonymous sex partners in the last 2 weeks can get the shot, according to the health department.
An advisor to the WHO telling the Associated Press the leading theory to explain the current spread of the disease appears to be transmission among gay and bisexual men at 2 raves held in Spain and Belgium.
There's a big dilemma for the liberal media when it comes to this disease. They've been pro-gay for years, but they can't say this is not a gay disease because the homosexual community needs to be alerted that this is serious.
If you look at the numbers, the overwhelming proportion of people who have been infected are men who have sex with men. Men who have sex with men. Men who have sex with men.
According to the CDC, 99% of those who have tested positive for monkeypox identify as men who have sex with other men.
So what we realize, what is truth, majority doesn't win, what is wrong is wrong. And in Islam and most of the major religions of the world, homosexuality is a sin, it's a crime, it will not take you to heaven, it will take you to hell.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
And I'm just clarifying that Islam does not allow homosexual acts. And I'm just clarifying that Islam does not allow homosexual acts. Just like Islam does not allow you to commit adultery. Just like Islam does not allow you to touch the opposite sex who's not a mahram. Just like Islam does not allow so many things, the consumption of alcohol or the consumption or the taking of intoxicants and so on, the eating of usury and interest. Islam doesn't allow these things. I would have no right or justification to say that Islam allows all of that. I think what people misunderstood is when I was speaking about the secular rights of people. So I live as a Muslim in a country that is not a Muslim country, and in this country there are people who follow all sorts of faiths. There are people who engage in association of what I would term as partnership with Allah. Are they free to live in this country? The answer is yes. And I would respect their rights as a citizen of this country, even though I have the right to disagree with them, and I do. But it has to be very respectful. It doesn't mean I've compromised my faith. It doesn't mean I've agreed to something that Islam disallows or the Quran clearly says that this is disallowed. But it does mean that if someone has chosen a different religion or a different belief, or even a different sect from among the Muslims, then the minimum I owe them is the respect of a human being with disagreement. And some people don't understand what that means. I think it's a very mature statement, and it actually goes to reflect that we are tolerant, and that's how it is. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy. I thought it's a good clarification to make.